Assalamu alaikum. It's very unfortunate to see that mainstream interpretation of Islam that dominates Western political landscape or social landscape is the one offered by conservative mullah, and now it is propagated by people like Mohammed Hijab, Yasir Qadi, Dili Hussain, and Adnan Rashid and other people who are accused of being fanatical elements in Western society. They are the ones who are described by their critics as divisive forces who do not want to see any collaboration between Muslims and other people of other faith. Recently, Mohammed Hijab criticized Mehdi Hasan, the prominent Muslim journalist and anchor. Interestingly, that video has been deleted. I do not know whether he was threatened with a legal action. The title of that video was Muhammad Hijab on Mehdi Hasan Watch, The Problem with Mehdi Hasan. I did happen to watch that video, and in that video, he was critical towards Mehdi Hasan, questioning the rationale for his support for leftist and other sections of society. So we have the Muslim young people, especially living in the Western world. They will have to think that you have two type of people: people like Muhammad Hijab and Mehdi Hasan. Mehdi Hasan believes in the coexistence with non-Muslims and other sections of society. While if you look at speeches of Muhammad Hijab, he seeks global dominance and global caliphate, and also in a way endorses, or at least he subscribes to the conservative interpretation of Islam, which advocates that if, let's say, Muslim um, Muslim managed to establish a global caliphate in the world, and the non-Muslim would be asked to convert to Islam. If they don't, then they would have to pay jizya, and if they don't pay jizya, then according to some conservative scholars, they should be killed. It means more than 6 billion people could be killed. I'm not saying that Muhammad Hijab has clearly said it at any platform. There are speeches which are vague and ambiguous, but the sort of interpretation that he subscribes to is also subscribed by conservative Pakistani and Egyptian mullah like Maulana Maududi, Abu Lala Maududi, and Dr. Israr Ahmad. Maulana Maududi was very clear in that, and he has written in one of his books that if Islam attains ascendance in the world, then the non-Muslim would be invited to convert to Islam. If they do not, then they would have to pay jizya, and if they don't pay jizya, then they would be killed. Another fanatical element known as Dr. Israr Ahmad, who also wanted a global caliphate and who also believed in system of jizya and all that, he endorsed in a live TV show at the prominent TV Urdu TV channel in Pakistan, and he said it was correct that if a Muslim come into power, then they would ask non-Muslim to convert to Islam. If they don't convert, then they would have to pay jizya, and if they don't pay jizya, then they would be killed. Again, that might force one to conclude that if there are more than 6 billion non-Muslims, and if Muslims somehow manage to establish a global caliphate in the world, then they would be asking over 6 billion non-Muslim to convert to Islam. If they don't, they would have to pay jizya, and if they refuse to pay jizya, then they would be killed. So this is the type of preaching and the doctrination of some fanatical elements of Pakistan and also Egypt, and they can also be found in other parts of the world. There are some Pakistani YouTubers who are also advocating global hegemony of Islamists. In the past, the same slogans of global dominance uh, were also raised by terrorists like Osama, terrorist Abu Musab Zarqawi, and terrorist Baghdadi. And we can see what they did with Muslim countries, like Libya is in ruins now. More than 500,000 people were decimated in Syria. Most of the belligerent groups were all Muslims. Around 11 million people rendered homeless, and Syria lost over $200 billion because of the destruction caused to its infrastructure. In the same way, you could see because this dominance at the end of the day, it turns into a sort of sectarian warfare and petty interest of Muslim countries that we could see in countries like Egypt, Yemen, Syria, and Afghanistan, and other parts of the world. What Muhammad Hijab pretends to be very anti-Western, anti-democracy, or anti-secular. What he would not tell you that during the Cold War, these all fundamentalists, these all extremists were supported by the United States and the Western capitalist world. This is not what I'm claiming. There are a plethora of literature. There are, myriad of books and files that can prove my claim. So many CIA officials have written that Brzezinski, the former Secretary of State, told Le Monde, a French newspaper, that the United States had already started imparting training to Afghan militants 6 months prior to Soviet invasion into that country. He said that basically we wanted to create an impression that we are going to do something in Afghanistan so that it might prompt Soviet Union to enter that country, and then we could settle the scores of Vietnam in Afghanistan. So basically, it was a war between the United States and the Soviet Union, but these all fundamentalists created an impression that it was a war between kufr and Islam, or infidelity and Islam. Interestingly, Islam was in danger in Afghanistan in 1979, and it was Israel, the United States, the Western world, Saudi Arabia, Arab monarchies, and fundamentalists from all over the world who were fighting on the side of the Western world. Osama, many critics might argue, Osama bin Laden, one of the top terrorists of the world, was trained, and his also militant comrades, they were trained by American CIA and others. And it was not only in Afghanistan, because during the Cold War, the Arab nationalists were the main enemies of the Western world, so they supported fundamentalists everywhere. Even Ali Saud and Maulana Abdul Wahab Najdi, they were directly or indirectly supported by Western colonial powers who wanted to weaken the Ottoman Empire. So in India, you could see that the biggest religious seminaries were established there during the time of the British, and British policies were meant to drive a wedge between Hindus and Muslims. So they were the ones who tried to communalize, and mullahs, or the religious, so-called religious scholars, or at least a significant number of these religious scholars, played an important role in communalizing Indian society. Hindu fundamentalists also were, played by these colonial powers, and they also invested their energies in communalizing Indian society. So fundamentalists of both strands, they were supported by the British colonial empire. In reality, it's interesting to note that the blasphemy law did not exist during the time of the Mughal. It was introduced in India by the British. So the story did not end there, but if you look at Jamal Abdul Nasir, who was an Arab nationalist, you may have differences with him, but he is described by many of his supporters as a modernizer who wanted to modernize Egyptian society, and he nationalized the Suez Canal. His main enemies were the UK, France, and Israel, and Western world to great extent, and Ikhwanul Muslimin. In the same way, the forces who did not like General Qasim in Iraq, directly or indirectly, supported the Western world. The forces that did not like Mashal Flaq in Syria, they directly or indirectly were in the hands of the Western world. Ayatollah Kashani in Iran was used to uh, topple the government of Mossadegh, to mobilize people against his government. And who were the main enemies of Mossadegh? The UK, uh, United States and Ayatollah Kashani to some extent. In the same way, Hizbul Mujahideen, Hizbul uh, uh, Hizb Islami in Afghanistan was supported. These Afghan fundamentalists and extremists were supported by Reagan, and there are still videos. So Mohammed Hijab would never tell you, even today, he's accused of subscribing to the ideas which are considered by many very conservative. He is the one projecting a very conservative interpretation of Islam. That's why he does not like personalities like Mehdi Hasan, who has always advocated coexistence, tolerance towards the people of other religion, and who has always advocated the values of secularism and democracy. So it's important to understand these conservative voices, to understand their ideas, so that you can draw your own conclusion, so that you can make your own analysis.